Is it time to hit the emergency button? Is it time to hit the panic button? I'll talk about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. The month of October has been one of the most challenging months that I can recall in my involvement in the gig economy. And usually you talk of a summer slowdown where the months of June and July, at least in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area, are pretty dry because folk are, the main university is out. Students don't start trickling back in for the fall semester until the end of July, beginning of August. And there's also the signs of the tax-free weekends. And then you start seeing things picking up, at least in the gig economy. At least traditionally, that's the way it's been. Well, the month of October has been something that's completely surprising to me in that, at least personally, based on my business model, which involves my doing gig food delivery work, last mile gig delivery work, some components of other 1099/cash game opportunities and brokered opportunities. I have sat out or not gone out at all 6 days this month, and today is the 21st of the month, Monday, October 21st. And there have been parts of 5 days in which I've only gone out there half of a day. Altogether, that translates into 8.5 days in which I've not attempted to earn any money those days. And there are various reasons why. Some of them is because when I look at the phone and I don't see any activity, and I realize that, hey, maybe my best move is not making any moves at all, as I mentioned in this segment of the Gig Geezer. And then lately, I've been doing some things behind the scenes and with respect to my personal enterprise. And so those things that I've been doing take up time. Some of them take up money, but a lot of it takes up time. Well, those 8.5 days under normal, or at least what had been my typical numbers, those 8.5 days would have translated into $3,000 to $3,500 missed income. So for me right now, I'm at just over $3,700 for the month. Last week I earned $834. The week before that I earned $1,033. And in each of those 2 weeks, I was on the sidelines where I didn't go out and attempt to earn any money. 2 days each of those weeks. And last week, not to mention not going out 2 days completely, 4 of those days I put in a half of a day. I hope you get where I'm going with this. There have been some market conditions that have affected how I've gone about doing my personal enterprise. And so the question begs, at least I've asked myself, is it reason for me to hit the panic button? Well, to be quite transparent, if this occurred in August, and for that matter, if this had occurred in the first half of September, it would be great reason for concern. And I'd probably have my hand right there on that button, ready to press it. I wouldn't be too far away from hitting that emergency button. But I'm in a position, at least for now, where I've not had to go through with pressing that panic button, that emergency button. But I'm sure that not everyone can say that. And so at this juncture, hey, I would say, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. If anything, I want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you have to say, how things are going in your market. I've asked this question before, but I know that given how my channel has really been suppressed in some ways by the YouTube algorithm, um, my content is not being seen by a lot of folk. We're talking very, very small numbers for someone who has as many subscribers as I have. So that said, it is what it is, but I still keep putting out content. And I guess that's what some people are saying with YouTube channels. Regardless if only 3 people see it, just keep putting it out. At some point, the algorithm will pick up your content, and eventually it may be put out. It may be put out before more people, and that's how you get your views, and that's how you get your subscribers. But that's not my motivation. As I've said, my motivation has always been to inform and educate and perhaps entertain. And yes, from a financial standpoint, yes, if I can earn enough money through the monetization of this channel or another channel of mine, then that money could be used to offset my expense of my van note and commercial insurance. But that hasn't happened, as I've said. What do you do in times like this? What do you do? That's a good question. As I mentioned, what I've done in recent weeks, I have invested time and some money into myself, hopefully to put myself in a position to where I will see more options available for me in my personal business enterprise. If that is realized, then I may see a resurgence of business and, of course, an uptick in income or an uptick in revenue. That's what we all want. We all want that. And then again, what we also want, and when we see, ultimately though, I think what we like to see is a consistent flow of revenue. Now, personally, I guess you could say I enjoyed somewhat of that consistent flow of revenue for about 20 months. From January 2023 until September 2024, in which I earned anywhere between $7,000 and $12,000 in any given month. Most months I had hit that $10,000 benchmark that I had often talked about. So I haven't talked about that in a while. Hadn't talked about that since what, June? And then the other benchmark at $2,000 earned each week, hadn't talked about that since August, beginning of August, because I hadn't come close. Closest I come is like $1,908 in 1 week, and I forget when that, and that's happened only once. Again, I say it's the market conditions. It's easy to say maybe it's the way things are right now is due to oversaturation. There is a certain amount of saturation in my market, but at the same time, there's not enough going around. People say, oh man, there's money to be earned. There's plenty of money to be earned. Well, it depends on how you're earning that money too. If you're accepting bottom buster dollar offers, like for example, on one app today, there was an offer of transporting an AC condenser from here in Columbia to just beyond Myrtle Beach in North Carolina. That was a 176-mile drive. They offered $150 to do it. They never got anybody. I don't think they got anyone to do it, but that's what they offered. And then the gig app contacted me about it. I told them what my number was. They never got back with me. But there's been other examples of that. But then there's other examples, at least in my market, at least indicators that tell me just how rough it's been. There was another gig app, last mile gig app, that had an offer to transport some light items from Columbia to Sumter. That's like a 45-minute to 1 hour drive, roughly about a 50 to 55 mile drive. And the app offered all of $69. It offered $69 and somebody grabbed it in 10 seconds. So while it's very tempting and easy to say that those are some very rigor mortis, gagging thirst people, I also recognize that the market conditions are such that people are grabbing onto whatever they can to try to make something happen. And definitely in times like this, only the strong survive. So hopefully I'll be someone who will be among those survivors. I was often taught that there's two types of folk. There's spectators and participants. There's winners and losers. There's survivors, and then there's your casualties. And hopefully I'll be one who's a participant, a winner, and a survivor. I'm coming up on 2 years of ownership and operation of the spinner/cargo van. I've already passed being involved in the gig economy 8 years. So I've got some time and miles behind me, but the fact of the matter, I'm no different than the next person in that I eat what I kill. And while you try to plan ahead or plan into the future, a lot of what you do is really on a day-to-day basis. So with that thought, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer and any other segment of Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.